Okay. We are live.
I am a big cat, I'm a slave. I got germs and it runs in my veins. I am a big damn, I'm insane. I got a deadly spreading disease. I am a big cat, I'm a slave. When disaster coming your way. I am a big damn, I'm insane.
Yeah, run it, ooh. I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah. I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah. I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah.
Okay. I want to thank everyone that's here and that's watching. My name is Lana Cox. I'm going to be the host of the show. I am in no way a substance abuse professional. I'm just the host. I'm also not an actor. This is my very first time going live. I'm shaking with nerves, but hopefully we can all get this. I want to start off by saying what feral but sober means to me. That was not my first choice of title. I didn't even like it hardly at first until the more I thought about it. That is like our truth. It's like surviving with our like claws out, but our mind's clear because we're sober. It's like getting to the nitty grit of recovery without losing the fire inside of us. So them little feral bits, I think, is what makes us survivors, is what has made us like successful in our recovery, because we have that little bit of, little bit not right, something different from other people. And it's pushed us and made us, just made us be able to succeed. So I'm hoping that we can create a space where like our messiness is power, where we can just be like unjudged and be truthful and be our feral selves, where we can just use resilience and raw storytelling and create a space for truth, growth, and defiant joy. Something wild and rebellious, guys. So real quick, I'm going to just say who I have on today, and then we'll get started. I have Miss Rachel Haney, Miss Amanda Warren, and Miss Tracy Terry. So the first segment I'm going to do is recovery journeys. I've known Rachel for a long time, but life has taken us different ways. And I'm so thrilled. I'm so proud of Rachel. She is a substance abuse counselor. And to me, substance abuse counselors are just like the bosses of recovery, because they've just taken and flipped the whole script. Like addiction makes us like, it's, it's slave. We answer to it. Like it are, when we sleep, when we eat, when we play with our kids, whatever is determined by our addiction. But substance abuse counselors, they just, they help person after person, day after day, just like fighting recovery and kicking its butt. Like I really have so much respect for anybody that is a substance abuse professional. So I am going to play my little video, and then we'll have Rachel tell her story, and then we can talk about it. All right. Can you hear me? Hold on. Your mic is not on.
I can hear you.
Okay. All right. We can hear you now. So go ahead.
How long is this supposed to be?
5-7 minutes. It's really flexible. Whatever you got to say, and then we can talk back and forth. We can add the other members to the stream and, just converse for a few minutes.
Okay, well, I am originally from Cincinnati, Ohio. Grew up in Claremont County and some of Brown County. I started using when I moved to Florida. I smoked a little bit of weed and drank a little bit up here, but I started really using when I moved to Florida. When I moved back up here after having my oldest son, I started staying with an aunt that, God love her, that let me do anything and everything I wanted. So I think my addiction took off at her house. And I just learned more and more about what different drugs were from there. Used for many, many years. I ended up in Portsmouth, Ohio, when I decided that I didn't want to use anymore. And from there, Well, I went to I went to treatment after using while I was pregnant, and then decided when I got out of doing all of that and like doing the rest of my time in jail, I decided to move to Portsmouth. And it wasn't until I met a few people here that were counselors, or like peer support back then there wasn't really much peer support going on, but I did meet a couple of peer support people, and I wanted to do what they were doing. So I ended up, my first job was being an RA at a separate living house I went through, actually. My counselor who hired me, he just passed away. He had, I think, 35 years clean
That's incredible.
himself. From there, I just went up on treatment centers, like where I went from there to another treatment center, became an RA, and it was at that treatment center I decided that I wanted to be a counselor, because the girls would come and sit and talk to me in the evening. And why not get paid to do what I love to do, you know?
To help people.
It was simple, easy to do online CDCA courses. I did have to get a CQE, Certificate of Qualified Employment. Found out I owed Brown County $1,000 before I could get that. I had to pay that off. However, I had some pretty good people in my corner at that point. One of them sitting in the vehicle with me right now. I had some pretty good people in my corner at that point. We went down there, took some letters to the judge, dropped them off, and he wiped out all the fines that I owed. I eventually got that CQE and got approved for that CDCA. Today, my life is unmanageable in some aspects. I get through it though. I am a counselor at BrightView. I love it there. I love harm reduction. There's a pretty big stigma in the community around here about people being on MATs. And them not being up to their standards of clean. However, I freaking love working there. I love it. It's given me a very different outlook on my addiction and other people's addictions. I see firsthand people walking through the door, shooting up in the parking lot. At one point in my life, I was doing that at CRC in Claremont County.
Yeah, that was me.
I've been able to be a part of like changing wait times at BrightView. People aren't coming in and sitting there forever and being like me, man, I hate sitting here. I can't wait on my meds, so I'm just going to go out in the parking lot and do my thing.
Yep. I've been there. I went to a clinic down in Cincinnati. Oh, God, what's it called? Oh, I can't think. But it might have been a BrightView, actually. And same thing, though. Like, you would sit and you had to, the whole first day, like, you sat around and you had to wait and you were not feeling good. And it was terrible. So, I mean, that's incredible that you could, be a part of it. Because you have a view that other people don't, other counselors may not have, because you've been there and you can say, hey, this is, we can stop this at the door or help another person this way, we can get one more, that's just incredible.
As long as I'm understanding with them, like, now don't get me wrong, I will tell some people, hey man, like, straighten your shit up.
You have to.
I have a couple of people that come in that are clients of mine that are actually good friends of mine. One, he runs the street, and as simple as this, he knows I don't play around. He has been coming to see me every single day for groups since he lied about going out of town to work. Oh, there's the police. I told him, hey, if you're lying to me, get your ass in here every day for group. And he comes in every single day because he lied. He knows he lied to me.
But you have to be that way with some people, and you can see through their stuff because their lies. You're like, I've told that lie, you're lying,
It sucks to see some people like him. Like, that's a good friend of mine. It sucks to see him pushing his carts around Portsmouth. I think he's got like what, 6 carts attached to each other now. Uh,
And no
I
desire.
never had to go. I never had to go through things like that. But seeing him go through something like that, someone that I care about, it's my friend. Like, I'm able to, when he comes in, hey, this is what we're going to do.
Yeah. And I just want to say, I want you to touch one more time about how, I don't know if anybody is even watching today, but I think it is incredible how, I don't want to say easy that it was, but I thought you had to go to college and get a degree to be a counselor. Like, so many people might want to help people and not know that it's, it's easy. It's more easier than that. That's not right. So I don't know. Like,
I have looked into peer support, and peer support, like the tests that you have to take, the courses you have to take for peer support, they're harder than the CDCA is.
really.
I will say that.
So
Yeah.
what's the difference between peer support and CDCA?
Peer support, you can be more open. CDCA, you're bound by certain ethics. I can't walk in and say, hey, man, I relate to you sitting on the side of the road shooting dope. This is what happened with the CDCA. Peer support in this area, anyways, I can go in and say, man, I relate to you. This is what happened. Like,
So
I can put out all things that's happened in my life with a peer support in this area versus a CDCA. I can't put out there.
So are
I
you
did that too.
considering a peer support? Like, are you thinking about going on or?
I don't know about that. I know I can carry one or the other. Jimmy, let's see if I can find it.
Oh, you can't have both. What are the difference like in job duties between the two? Like as far as, because you work in like an office where I know you texted me yesterday and you said, I'm got someone coming in for an assessment. And I thought that was super cool. I was like, that sounds so boss. Like, I'm going to assess somebody. Like to think of like where, like we were actually cellmates in jail. Like, and that's crazy to me how far you came. I'm so proud of you. Like,
It's when you get when I first started doing it, it was really scary. Especially when I didn't have the right supervision. Now I've been doing this for going on 6 years, and I've had one good supervisor to step in and say, "Hey, Rachel, this is what it is." I've had one actual good supervisor. I've trained myself how to use 2 different program sites. Because one company, they were just, I'm unsure what it was with them, but I think that was the hardest part. Like, taking the courses was the easiest thing for me because I went through STAR, and everything, I paid attention while I was there, and everything that I learned at STAR and everything that these counselors said to me, I was like going through these CDCA courses, and a 40-hour course didn't take me long because I knew everything, and I didn't realize that I knew everything
it matters if you pay
until I
attention.
started
Like,
going through it.
that's when you knew that was the different time. I would think, like, is that when you were like, this is probably different because I'm actually paying attention and retaining. Like, I've been to several treatment programs, and the first couple, I really went in there and fake it till you make it, and then, when you finally are retaining it and paying attention and wanting to absorb it instead of just, oh, this is what they want me to say, and it's just, that's when, like you're it's ready, time for change.
Absolutely.
So, are you anything you want to say? We have time, plenty of time. I had some questions. I thought this was going to be a lot more awkward. I am nervous still, but it's not as bad. So I had like questions.
Go ahead. If you have questions, I can answer them.
So like one of the questions is like, just talk about some obstacles that you had to overcome relating to like, I don't know, housing. Well, then we talked about your employment. So like, I know I saw you did like a memory of a post the other day, like where you were looking for a house. Like, I'd say it's like significantly different from looking for a house before.
So, that I posted a memory the other day. That was actually the person that I'm with today. We had went through some issues, and we split up. Um, I drove around. We split up. We were buying the house. I decided as a mom in recovery, like my kids were still under 18, my two oldest. I did get them back in recovery.
That's amazing.
We split up. House was in his name. He wanted me to, hey, you can stay here. I didn't want to stay there. I was like, got you. One Sunday, I drove around all day on a Sunday, which was very hard. I just drove around looking for places for rent. And that Sunday, I called a guy. And because I still have a Cincinnati area code, he thought that I was a company that he works with to remodel some of his homes. He answered the phone for me that day and he said, hey, you can move in right now. That was one of the hardest things besides my kid's dad passing away. That was one of the hardest things that I went through. Because the person that I'm with today, like when I first seen this man, I was like, I just want to love him.
Yeah, meant to be.
That's all I want to do. Like, I just want to love him. I picked him up at Taco Bell. I worked in treatment at the time with one of my good friends, and he was like, hey, can you go pick up my little son? Got you. This skinny little kid sitting at Taco Bell holding his quesadilla and his little pineapple drink. I want to love this man. That was my first thought. We were together for I think like 3 years. He's been in my life for 5 years now. That was one of the hardest that I went through. And to be able to just get in my vehicle and drive in the same day, on a Sunday of all days, be able to find a place that quick.
Meant to be. Like I'm a firm believer that when you're clean and putting in the work, like things happen that would never happen in your addiction. Like you will be like sitting there trying to find rides. I've tried to find rides for days. And then, but when I'm sitting there waiting to find a ride to probation because I'm actually clean and going, to doing the right thing, but I don't have a car, someone will pull in right at the last minute. Like, hey, I can take you. It's crazy how things work out. Like, a man answered on a Sunday, like that doesn't happen, and it was just meant to be. So
I did. And from there, like I wanted a better house, right? So from there, like I rent off of someone we both know. I rent off of Art Bush now.
Yeah.
He bought a house out here in West Portsmouth, and I was sitting there like my kids moved out, they had their own kids. I'm like, why am I paying $850 a month for a 3-bedroom house when my kids, and I'm paying all these other bills? He started dating my good friend and was like, I mentioned to her one day, I said, hey, does he want to rent that house over there? Bam, $500 a month.
That's in the city too. Like that's crazy. Like rent's
so
not
here I am. Like I want to do things in life. I'm single now. Eventually me and this man ended up getting back together when his life fell apart and my life fell apart with the people we were with. But he was like, yeah, if for anybody else, no, I won't rent that house to them, but I will rent it to you. I pay $500 a month for a 3-bedroom house.
That's crazy. I mean, and amazing.
There are people around here that have been clean for years, that pay a whole lot more than that, where they're living in a little apartment and they're trying to grow their family and get bigger homes and they can't find one.
Yeah, I know I had, I have an 11-year-old, and then I was pregnant with he's 3 now, and then as soon as I had him, 6 months later, we get pregnant again, and we live in this tiny little 2-bedroom house that was already too small for the 2 kids that we had. It was so awful. And then we got blessed. The house that we live in, it is huge. My husband's papa did pass away, and God rest his soul, but he took care of us, and we're so blessed because now we have a huge 3-bedroom house with a big, nice yard. It's crazy. But so we're going to do some recovery. Like if you could go back and sit beside your younger self during your hardest time, what would you say?
Be stronger.
I think we would all say that.
Be stronger. Give myself more credit, because that's what I used a lot over, especially when it came to my kids. When my kids were taken from me, and I consider that me being young also, because I'm told that when I stop using, when I begin using, that's when my brain stops growing and I stay the same age. And then when I stop using, I'm still that same age. I have to just grow from it, right?
Yeah.
When my kids were taken, my addiction was the worst. So I would tell myself then, be stronger and give yourself more credit, because when they were taken, it was, there's nothing else for me.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna
Give up.
And I was clean, so I just went back to using, like.
Right. Just like welcomed it back. So what was the hardest boundary you would say you had to set, and how did it impact your recovery?
Hardest boundary. The hardest boundary I had to set was with my kid's dad. I don't know if you ever met him.
Timmy?
Yeah.
Never, I think, directly. I think we knew some of the same people and stuff, but I never did meet him.
The hardest boundary I had to set was with him. I got out of Star and he was using. I left treatment, the next treatment, ASA, went home, found out he was using. I went somewhere safe and told him that I did not want to see him. I went to my probation officer that Monday morning and said, hey, put me in jail or put me back in treatment.
Wow. I mean, and at that point you had gotten stronger, so maybe you knew
that
you
was because that was the only person there. Even family, like anyone, that was the only person there. That was the hardest boundary I've ever had to set since being clean. I mean, I set boundaries with myself every single day, but if I wouldn't have set that boundary, I would have stayed, waited on them to come and catch me for probation, been using. I would have given up 8 months of sobriety at that point.
Yeah. And you knew it though, and you recognized, and that's what made you different. And so I have one more question. The most rewarding part of your job.
The most rewarding part of my job is when someone comes in and says, Rachel, I've only smoked crack 2 days this week instead of 7.
Yeah, the little things, I spoke to someone recently, someone else I'm not sure his exact title, but he is some kind of professional. And he said that in their program, they find a starting point. Like they just start somewhere. Like if we don't try to say, get sober today. We say, do you need a job? Do you need transportation? Whatever. And I thought that was amazing. I was like, wow, because that's right. Because he said, when you're living under the bridge, you're not, you don't want to be sober, you got little steps, and that's awesome. So I'm going to wrap it up with you, and I'm going to bring Amanda on and see if they have anything they want to just, we can converse for a few minutes and then we'll move on. You're free to stay on and watch the rest of the show, or you can watch it on Facebook, however you want to do it. But thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Amanda, are you there? And Tracy?
Yes, I'm here. Yeah, I'm here. I'm with her. My son wouldn't let me connect, baby.
It's okay. We're fine. We're all here. Does anybody have any questions for Rachel? Anything you want to ask her at all?
I don't really have a question, but I just wanted to say I'm actually on Matt right now, and I've been to BrightView and had to move, so I couldn't go. But I'm going someplace different. But I just want everybody to know, like, Matt has saved my life.
Yeah.
So, and I know there's a lot of preconceived notions about maintenance and all this and that, but at the end of the day, it saves so many lives. And I feel like if you're not educated, you should get educated, because it's literally saving lives by the day.
Absolutely. So. And people that do not abuse, and there are always going to be people that abuse the program. There's always going to be that, one stick in the mud, bad apple, whatever have you, that, makes the stigma for everybody else. But that's not fair at all, because there are people that use their medication correctly and are wonderful, productive members of society, and And that's just, it's ridiculous the way that people act.
Yeah. Agreed.
Okay. So I have a little video for Amanda, and then we'll start her segment. Okay. All right, Amanda. So this segment's called Alter Ego Confessions. It's kind of like a story from your past, but we want to make sure that we emphasize how we've grown from that. But I think it's definitely healthy to laugh at ourselves. So I think that's, and maybe not laugh at ourselves, but just look back and think, how far we've came. So I know you have a pretty juicy story. So go ahead. Remember, it's streaming on Facebook. I hope they haven't shut us down. But so just kind of.
No, that's fine. I'm prepared to be, I can censor myself.
Okay. All right.
But so this story is back in 2000 and I want to say 13, and I was at the Healing Place in Louisville for women. Needless to say, I did not graduate, but I was there, and at the time I was heavy in my addiction. I had maybe done a year in jail, and I wasn't ready by the time I got out, but I wanted to be released, of course, like everybody else, like you can go do this program. If you do it, we'll let you out. And of course, I'm going to say, yeah.
Take it till you make it.
So, so I go down to Louisville to the Healing Place, and I meet a girl, because that's what I do, and while I'm there, I decide that I'm going to be with this girl, but it's against the rules, of course. Okay. I'm a rule breaker. That's what I do when I'm getting high. That's what I do. I'm pretty good at it. So I get there, I get this girlfriend, and I decide that I wanted to leave. So I left, and she decided to come with me. So she cut off her ankle monitor, and she came with me. So now we're on the run. Okay. So we don't know where we're going to go. We've never been to Louisville a day in our lives. We're stupid. We leave. So now we're trying to figure out how we are going to survive. So I start running illegal activities. Okay. We'll just say it like that. And to get money, but I was ripping off the wrong people. So I was ripping off these people that were very high and, in the game. And, I guess I thought, they're not going to catch up with me. I'm going to do it anyway. Well, I ended up getting up there in funds by the thousands, right. And they found me at Taco Bell, and I was in Taco Bell downtown Louisville, and they told me to get in the car. I thought for sure somebody was going to save me. Okay, everybody's watching this happen in the Taco Bell, but nobody's trying to save me. No. Okay, so that was the terrible part about it. I just knew somebody was going to save me. Right, and they didn't. So I had to go get in the car, of course. So I'm in the car, and he's telling me I have one last chance to get his money. So I'm calling everybody I know. Nobody's picking up. If they do pick up, they're done with me. I burnt every bridge in the past. I have nobody else to fall back on, and I have lied my way into this situation. So he pulls into a church. It's Sunday. And I am just like one Hail Mary shot away. Like, come on, somebody answer the phone. So as I'm on the phone, my girlfriend's sitting in the front with him. She pops the windows down, and I jump out, and I run into the church on Sunday screaming, call the police, help me, call the police. I didn't even care. I was ready to go to jail because I knew at that point it was go to jail or lose my life. So I was, and what are you going to do? I'm ready to go back. Obviously, this isn't working. So the really messed up part is nobody called the police in the jail, in the church. Nobody called the police for me. But I ran out the back door, and I did get away that day. But and then a couple of days later, I ended up going back to jail. But that was the best thing that ever happened to me, because that was November 7th of 2018. And that is the last time I have ever touched an opiate, thought about touching an opiate. It has been the biggest transformation of my life. I met you, my girl, and, and I did, but this time I sat down for 4.5 years. And let me tell you something, it was a lonely, long road. I got 14 year sentence. I was devastated. Yes. Devastated about that. God, when I got my sentence, it crushed me, but, man, it saved my life. It saved my life. I ended up being able to go to Grant County SAP. They sent me to the substance abuse program, and this time I was all in. When by the time they had sent me, I was already down for like 2 years. So I was like I was ready. I was working in the jail. I was doing something different. Yeah, I was trying to uplift people. We're doing, holidays, trying to lift people up, and I'm like really finding myself by this point.
Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Yes.
Amanda
Yes.
literally
So,
she made everybody pull all the families together and like say thanks and be this happy little family. Even people that didn't get along, like she was and she was such like positive and good mood about it. Like, everyone just did it. Like we put our differences aside. There's always people that we, don't jive with, and everybody did. And it was really like, she really helped me through my time so much. The time that I actually was the longest time that I ever sat down for 18 months. And that was just, and I had my daughter already and I was devastated. And I know we stayed awake many nights just talking, talking everything out. And you were working in recovery. You would every day go out with your little book and your little Bible and just, and do your work. And it was really inspiring. I think about like you were one of the first people that I reached out to, you were among the very first when I decided to do this podcast, because I was like, she's my girl. She has the info, the knowledge, because I'm guilty of, I don't always work, I don't always do the work. I live, my husband is not an addict, and I just kind of pushed the past, down. And so,
Yeah, absolutely. But this, I think, is going to be a very good, healthy outlet for, I think, of just a bit of everybody. I know that it took me a long time to get where I'm at today, but today I like my mom. We're besties. Okay, my mom's got sober. We are besties, and let me tell you something. It's the best relationship I've ever had in my life. We live together. We are like trying to own this trailer, and it's just great. Like, because she's getting up there in age. My grandma's getting up there in age, so I can help. Like, I can give back to them. So that's just amazing, all in itself.
I know that
love
you're
that.
taking care of you and your mom together are taking care of your grandma, and that's amazing. I know that takes a strong, and you could never do in your addiction. You know what I mean? Like you never could you have been there for like she needs to show up, for her doctor's appointments. I know you said recently she fell and had some, medical issues, and you could have never showed up for that,
No, absolutely not. So I'm like so super blessed. We both, when I got to SAP, I ended up losing my dad. I don't know if you know that he passed away, my grandpa. And and so that was so crazy because I went through it with you, and then it happened to me. And I did his funeral. I had to do his funeral through a little beam flap in the cell because we were on COVID lockdown restriction. And that broke me because I didn't get a chance to show him that I could do it. You know what I mean? But now I get the chance with my grandma. So that's really cool. Even though she doesn't really know what's going on, I can still make my amends. And that's what I need at the end of the day,
because we are
and I can pay for
the best we can for ourselves. That's all we can do is try to, we can try to make amends to other people, but at the end of the day, it's really how we feel about ourselves that keeps us going. And,
absolutely.
So I was so happy. I'm so happy that you get to be there for her and your kids. I mean, I am so thrilled that you get to have that relationship with them and your mom. I know that you guys weren't, always you get along and stuff just because it's things that we do. And I'm so happy that you guys are so close, like old people.
It's so super close. Besties for the resty. And then my son lives with me. He's 20, but that's my baby, and he lives with me. And you know what? Like, that is so cool. I get to see him every day.
Absolutely.
It's such a blessing. He's so proud of me. So it's like more motivation to just keep continuing to do what I'm doing, honestly.
Yeah. And your support, like that's what's important is that everybody has support. I was going to say that when Rachel was on talking about, the people that she had with her or whatever. So I'm super nervous, but like, your support system is just like, I don't even know the word, is crucial, I guess, like to your
absolutely.
You don't have, I tried many times to go, to stay clean or I half attempted or whatever, but I would just always go back, to my parents' house where I knew everybody was using and, and even if my mom or dad happened to be clean at the time, somebody there could get something. And it was just, I would go right back to it. It wasn't until when I came out of jail, when we were together, when we were in jail together. I went to the Salvation Army in Lexington, and I was only there for a short time. My Braylon there ended up being an issue with foster care and et cetera. They ended up letting me out a week later of the program, but I came down here I live, far down in Kentucky, and I just never looked back. And I had moved down here before in my life with my aunt, and then before she has passed away now, but I would always go back. My dad was up there, and I would always use that as an excuse, my dad, and then after I lost him, I really had no excuse. I've never really been super, super close with my mom, and my brother and sister are grown, and so and now I have an incredible husband and 2 more beautiful children, and I couldn't be happier.
Right. And also, real quick, I don't know. I think you know what? My service is terrible here. I don't know if I'm freezing or breaking up.
No, you're
I don't know if
fine.
you can hear me.
You're coming through fine.
But I wanted to say also kudos to you, because I'm so proud of you. Okay, I know the show is not about you, but girl, you're the host, and I could not be more proud of you.
Thank you.
So I want you to know that.
That's what I said. I just hope to help myself. I am struggling a little bit recently, I guess mentally, I guess maybe because I don't talk about anything like ever. I just push it down and push it back. And I don't really do any recovery work. I am guilty of that. So that's kind of why I decided to make the show. I figured I could maybe get my live vicariously through you guys. And I hope that I can help myself and hopefully a few other people along the way. That's what this is about. And I want to space where we could be honest and raw about the things that we've done and how we felt without having to censor it. I mean, I know we have to censor a little bit because of the platforms we're streaming to, but right. I think that, we shouldn't have to hide our true selves. I've done some stuff that people are going to think are crazy, and I'm sorry, and I'm sorry for it, a lot of it, but also my experiences are valid. And I have struggled recently with like a sense of self or a sense of purpose. I guess I feel like before I moved down here and got clean, that I was just like nobody, and that's not fair, so I'm hoping hoping to work through some of that with everybody and have some fun too.
Yes, absolutely.
So I have a little video from Macy, and then if she wants to tell her story.
Okay, here you go, Mama.
We're
swapping out. Here, we're swapping out, girl.
Yeah, my phone would not let me. It's something else. That's all I can.
Okay, hi Tracy. I'm calling your segment Snapped and Switched. I think we're going to talk about definitely a significant moment when you realized something wasn't right and you had to do something different. So go ahead and tell your story.
So basically, I just started getting high around 17, I guess, after the birth of Amanda with pain pills. But in my I was 18 when I was introduced to crack and stuff like that. And I did that for 13, 14 years. We're talking about in Cincinnati in the 80s and 90s when downtown was horrible.
Right.
And I was there, a little girl from Claremont County, thought that I knew everything. And been through a lot. I've been jumped, I've been beat up, the things that we do, some of the things, that we go through, just trying to get, the drugs that we need. Anyway, I got pregnant later in life with my last 3 kids. I got pregnant at like 35 with my son, Anthony. And that's when we moved to Kentucky. And pain pills got to be a real big thing for me. That's when all the pain clinics started coming out. And you could get pain pills on damn near any corner. You know what I mean? Pain clinics were everywhere back in the day. And then basically it went with like that. I met a man, had a baby with him. My youngest daughter, I told you I got pregnant when I was 39, freaked me out. But then I think my daughter was like 3 years old when I found out the police come to my house to arrest him. And it was for something that really blew me. You know what I mean? Because you don't really know the person you're with. You know what I mean? I did not know his past. You know what I'm saying? So something from his past came up. And that's when I really broke. You know what I mean? They took him to jail. And that's when I started doing heroin and everything just went downhill. And girl, That's when my kids, especially Amanda, was getting older then. And I'm like, she's seeing me. My kids are seeing me. I can't hold it together. I can't hold an apartment. I'm letting my kids go with my uncle, well, their Uncle Mike, who didn't even have electricity at the time. That's where I went, like, even with my babies, you know what I'm saying? At the time, I couldn't keep it together, you know what I mean? And I tell people that I believe that drug makes you like just like a soulless shell of a human being, because we don't care, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care if it's your children, your mom, your dad, God himself, you know what I'm saying? At the time, we don't care. You
At
know
all.
what I mean? And I got finally, I think in 2017, I ended up going to jail. I had ran for girl. I had been to rap probably 10 times. Never did a long-term treatment because I always said that if they try to send me to long-term treatment, I'm not going. I'm running. I'm running because I've been a runner my whole life. Basically, you know how that goes. Long, and it was a 23-year run for me. Yeah, so in and out of jails, you know how we do it, you know what I mean? And it was just one of them catch me when you can. You was never gonna catch me turning myself in, because I thought that was just the most ignorant thing ever. Why would I volunteer to go to jail? But anyway, in 2017, finally made parole. They told me I was going to the Hope Center in Lexington, and they let me out the day before. And I remember that, and this is God now that I look at it now that I'm sober and I see, I had two choices that day because it's so stupid. Like, I went to my ex's house, this man who is just the epitome of evil, right? And I don't know why I went there. I don't know if I was wanting him to say, come in or what, but he didn't. And that was my lifesaver. You know what I'm saying? Because I turned around and I said to him, I said, have you seen my brother? He said, no. And I walked away. And because God gave me a choice, he said, you don't leave till tomorrow morning at 6:30. Now, what are you going to do?
Right. And
You're 8 months clean?
You could have went out.
Yeah.
We don't think we could do what we could do before, and you could have overdosed. It could have, that is God, working in our lives.
Yeah.
That's crazy. It's crazy how those things happen. And now I can see them.
Yeah. Now that we look back, that we can see that, right? So that night I had dinner with my little girl and her aunt and uncle, stayed with my brother-in-law, and I got on that bus, man. And then as I was sitting on that bus to go to that Hope Center, everything in me was like, go. You know what I mean? Like, get up, go. And something just held me there. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me, because it was like, and people ask me sometimes, like, when did you get it? I don't know. I just know that when I got out, I didn't go back. You know what I mean? I didn't go back. I did the program. I graduated. I peer mentored. And then it was time to come home. I missed my kids. And, I think me and you touched on this on the phone. I think we get these preconceived notions of how our life's going to be when we get clean. You know what I'm saying? And it's nothing like that.
Everything's just going to snap into place. Like, no, it's
right.
So hard.
It is so far from that, right?
Yeah. It's hard.
I'm coming
ways, granted, but it's so hard. Like, life that's what I say. I know I made a post one time, a long time ago, right after I had my oldest daughter. And I said, everyone said, like, sobriety would be easy, but like, life is hard. Life is so hard. Like, and you have to fight every day, because who doesn't want to not feel that, and it's so easy to just, to one day be, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. Bills, the price of everything is outrageous. I have 3 kids.
Oh my God.
Like, it is awful, like
hard.
So hard.
And it's still hard. And no matter, I don't care how long you get in it. Like I said, I'm going on 8 years clean in October. Like Amanda said, I've came a long way. I'm super proud of myself. But like I said, because most of my adult life, I started at 17 and got clean at 47.
Yeah.
There's my life. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you wake up, and to me, it's like waking up. Like, I don't know how it feels for other people to come in out of addiction, but for me, it was like waking up, and I look around, and I ain't got nothing.
Nothing.
I mean, I
don't know what I like to do, even what I like to eat, or who I am at this point, because I started drugs super young, and I did that my entire life until I had my oldest daughter in prison. Like, dude, my life was chaos. And now that I'm not doing those things anymore, but now what do? And I know
exactly.
I have my kids to fill my time, but like after at some point, like, but who am I? Like my own self.
Yeah, you got to find out who you are. And after I came home for a while, and I went, like, because, I'm an idiot, because when I came back, I went to this evil man that I used to be with, because I didn't have anywhere to go. Everybody, like when I first got back to Cincinnati after going to the Hope Center, people put bets on me going back out, girl. They knew I was going to hit that street,
Yeah.
I knew I wasn't, but they just thought for sure that I was, you know what I mean? But anyway, I took time to myself just to get to know me. I went without a man. I said, I'm not doing this. I went celibate for 7 years. I had no man in my life. I wanted to put my kids first. I wanted them to see that I wasn't playing this time, because how many times have we said to our children, oh, I promise you, I promise, Mom's not going back this time. I ain't going back this time. And I remember talking to my baby, and he was getting ready to graduate and go into from elementary school to middle school, and got arrested the night before his graduation. And I promised, like, this kid, I was going to be there, this, that, and another. And then when I talked to him on the phone from jail, he said to me, yeah, it's okay. I figured you'd go back. Talking about heartbreaking.
Devastating.
Talking about heartbreaking. Yes.
Expectations of disappointment.
Yes.
It's heartbreaking.
Exactly.
We've all been there. Anybody who says they haven't,
Yes.
like, we've all
Yes.
mistakes, but they're horrible.
Yeah.
The stuff that keeps
But,
me not back. When I think about
and now,
stuff, I could never be away from my kids now. Like, I would die if I had,
to give them up, right? Because now, we know, I think, like I said, me taking that time just to even be by myself, no whiny ass man, no none of this other stuff. I got to let my children see that I can be a mom, because I wasn't even sure if I could be a mom.
Right.
Because I didn't know. I don't know me. All I know is the chaotic.
Of, like, what is a mom? Like, moms do so much.
Exactly.
Only half a parent when like, you don't all the things that really go into being a good parent.
Yes, and I was so scared to let them down again. So I said to myself, a man's going to come and go, right? The only thing that we're going to have that's going to love us to the very end is going to be our babies, right? Mm-hmm. So I gave my babies my attention. And I gave myself that attention. You know what I'm saying? Because I needed to know who I was and to know what I wanted in life. Mm-hmm. I know what I like now. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm happy now. And I'm like 8 months away from owning my first home at almost 8 years clean. Yeah, and it's just all about my family now, my family and my kids. And I think we even touched the basis, like, in this process of finding ourselves, it's so hard because we don't even know how to make friends, or what I mean?
I have no friends. Like, it's crazy. And I don't know how to make friends. Like, my daughter plays sports, and I'll go to sports games, and I'm like, my son is 3, and he'll run around and play with other kids. And I'm like, how do you just take right up with them? I'm standing there
awkward.
Like, yeah.
You're awkward. You don't know what to say. You're like,
awkward. You know what I mean? Amanda, I am the most awkward person in the world. Like,
she said you're so awkward.
Oh my God. Not like me in a mean way. Like when she first meets somebody.
I'm so shy, believe it or not. I'm shy. I used to be so shy when I was a little girl that my hands would get, I'd sweat. I get so nervous my hands would sweat. You know what I mean? Like, I was such a shy, just timid little girl, and to come. And I think that I had to walk that journey to make me the woman I am today. And I think we all had to do that. Absolutely. You know what I mean? The journey that we walk.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
And addiction looks different for everybody. Like, that's one of the things that I know. This is my first episode, and I was super nervous and didn't say a lot of stuff at the first. But, like, I really want to listen and don't judge community. Like, I think that everybody we've done what we've done, and maybe we might not agree with what someone else has done, but let's not judge them. Let's just, we're not that person today, and let's focus on that. Like, I think that, like I said at the first, I did touch a little bit on it. Like, I think that our messiness and our craziness, that's literally what has made us keep striving. Like, what is like, just like, I don't know, there's something different in us, because there's some of us back out there. My brother is back out there still using. He just was in a halfway house and he just went right back. Like, and it's heartbreaking. Like, but it's not me. Something's different.
I lost my brother. Yeah, I lost my brother when and it's crazy because God works in our lives in such crazy ways. Like, so when I got back and I did, I ended up blocking, dude, the crazy man. I ended up when I came home, I ended up blowing my knee. I ended up having to have a surgery on my knee and my hip and all this other stuff. I ended up in a domestic violence shelter, which was one of the best things that could have ever happened for me, because they ended up giving me my first own apartment. And girl, talk about, I was 47, never had my, apartment that I know I could keep, right? You know what I mean? I knew I wasn't going to be there just for like a month or two, you know what I mean?
Right,
I'm moving no furniture in, it's like a trap house or something, you know what I mean? But, and I loved it. I loved this apartment, right? And I was getting ready to sign my year for my next year, and I get a phone call from my mom. And my dad had a stroke. And my brother was still using. And they had 2 cars. He wrecked the truck, and her car was sitting in a gas station parking lot because he was so high when he came out of the gas station, he lost the keys to the car. But anyway, fast forward like a month later, his liver shuts down, and I'm there with my mom. That's how God works. God got me clean when I needed to be clean, and gave me some time up under my belt, being clean, because he knew I was going to be the one that's going to have to take care of her.
Yep.
And we always thought it would be my brother because, see, my brother was the one, you know what I mean? I was the black sheep of the family. I grew up in Claremont County. I brought the black man into the house. Oh, Lord, my parents were like racist and stuff, I snuck him. I'll never forget the time I stuck him in the window. My mom came in the bedroom, and we're standing there, and I'm like, and she's like, you know what I mean? I'm like, whatever. But you know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's like, yeah. So I thought, we just thought it was
crazy stuff. Yeah, that I've did. Shoo.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I said I had my ancestors turning in the grave when I brought the man's little black butt up in here. Yeah, they was turning. They said, "Oh my God, no." But I believe that was my sole purpose. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, now I love the fact that you're doing this, because I think we touched on it too. Like you said, I think we all need an outlet. You know what I'm saying? And we are going through that, still finding ourselves, still trying to have friends, trying to go out. I was telling Amanda I want to go somewhere, and I always say that. Well, where do I want to go? Well, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know what I want to do.
Really,
right?
it just sounds good to me. Like I always think I want to go places, but
Yeah, exactly. Then you're like, I'm good. I'll just stay in. Matter of fact, let me get on my pajamas at 5:00 in the afternoon because I'm, 85. Now that I'm clean, that's how I act, But I love the fact that you're doing this. I think that it's a great thing, baby girl. You're giving a lot of people that wanted an outlet to come on and, speak freely about how they're feeling and how, how hard it is to get to where we're at, man. None of this was easy.
no.
None of this was easy, man. We danced with the devil every single day. You know what I'm saying? Every day played Russian roulette with our lives and stuff like that. And people don't understand that. And I want to hit on, like Amanda said, Matt is a awesome program, amazing program. And I know that, and I think that too, a lot of people that have never been in addiction have a lot to say about it when you've never walked our shoes. So you can't speak on addiction you know nothing about.
Exactly.
And even doctors with their books and their this and that, that's nothing. That's bullshit, because that's not living that. You don't know the life. Yeah. That book ain't telling you how that life is for real.
I think,
being out there and living it.
Earlier, there's always going to be somebody that abuses the program. But at the end of the day, people that use it correctly are, doing it. There's people that are, working in law offices and receptionists at hospitals and different stuff like that, that just
Yeah.
that are on that
Oh,
are
girl, I think
in that program, and you would never know if the medication is used
never.
correctly. You would never know. Yeah.
Yeah. I've gotten high with baseball players, football players, lawyers,
Oh,
judges. Like, oh, baby.
Yep.
Man, if I could write a book, and I should, probably, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But I'm telling you, people don't know. You can see them, like you said, people you don't know who's on what, and what people have been through. But it is a program that does save lives, and I think it's amazing. And I think you're amazing for doing this.
Thank you. All right. I have a little video, and then we will end the show. So thank you guys so much. And hopefully
no
I can get
problem.
you guys back. Hopefully we'll have more episodes. Hopefully this wasn't a complete fail.
Yes,
So,
I would love to come back.
Yes, definitely.
We'd love
all
to
right,
come
thank
back.
you. Hold on, wait, I'm not even on that. Now I'm nervous. Okay.
Run it, ooh, I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah. I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah. I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah. I really feel it's my time, think it's my been ready. Used to hold myself back, my self-esteem damn